So let's talk about how you can psychically connect with your past loved ones that have crossed over to the other side. This was a question that I had received from somebody. So if one person's asking, I'm sure a lot of other people are asking too. So I really want to help you guys out with this. There's kind of a secondary kind of level of that, of like connecting with just like spirit, like generally. So I'm going to tap on that very lightly as well. But these are the things that you should know. If you would like to connect with your loved ones that have passed on, my first recommendation to you would be to create an ancestor altar. It's a really kind of beautiful thing to have, and it offers a constant connection, right? It just opens that door. So anytime you need it, you can walk over and it's there. But they are also maintenance, and there are things that you have to do for that. So if that's something you're interested in, I have a blog article, I have another video on that. So please check that out. And if it sounds like something you'd be interested in, or it energetically feels good to you, I would really highly recommend and encourage you to do that. One thing I would say not to do is, a lot of people kind of go towards the Ouija boards because it's kind of the big Hollywood, like, oh yeah, Ouija boards, that's how they do it in all the movies. And while that does work, and I have articles and videos up on this as well, you have to be really careful with this method of connecting, because there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and it's a lot. It kind of opens the door where you might want to not open it that big, especially if you're not really well versed in spirituality or connecting with spirits, and if you don't know proper protection methods. It's sort of like, you don't pick a fight with somebody if you don't know how to make the counter moves, right? Because otherwise you're going to end up in the hospital with broken bones. So it's sort of the same thing energetically, if you can keep that in mind. The second thing that I would recommend, besides an ancestor altar, is using your psychic connections and abilities to tap in and receive messages that way, and connect with the energy and the spirit of the person who has passed on in that manner. Now, everyone has psychic abilities, so don't think that you have to have some sort of special gift or, something in order to do this. If you want to take the time and you want to make the effort, you can have one or more of these abilities. It just depends on how much you want to put into it. You get in what you get out of it what you put in, so keep that in mind. Now, what are the psychic abilities that you can use? Like, what are the options? So the first option that everyone pretty much knows about is clairvoyance, right? It is a psychic sight. And a lot of people will get it kind of out here, come from the third eye out. I have a little projector screen that kind of sits in this area. It's like a little mini drive-in screen, and I get a lot of flashes and impressions of pictures. That's one way that I get it. For me, another way too is I can kind of see it in my mind. I can see the pictures rolling around or flashing, kind of like little stills on a movie screen, to kind of tell. You can see the motion kind of going as they flash. So that's one way I get it. You won't always get it that way. You might get some of it, but everyone's way of receiving and interpreting the messages that you get will be a little bit different, because they will be tailored directly to you and what is easiest for you. So that's one thing that you can do. If you would like to practice that method, something I would suggest is meditating, right? Also too, if you're trying to connect psychically like that, it's okay to close your eyes and do that. You don't have to like have eyes open all the time. And sometimes that makes it easier to quiet the outside noise. But meditating is a really great tool for that, because what happens is you train your brain to visualize the pictures, right? And to look at them and interpret them. And there's a way that you do it where it's not you that's creating it, it's spirit that's giving it to you. So learning how to differentiate between what your mind is trying to show you and what spirit is trying to show you is also an important part of this process. And if that's something that you would like help with, please reach out with me. I love to work with people on these sort of things. The next psychic gift that you're going to want to know about is clairaudience, right? And that is a psychic hearing. So for me, this is something I get. It was one of the second ones I developed after my clairvoyance, and I will hear messages from spirit or from guides out of this ear. And this is probably one of the easiest ways, because it's almost like having an actual conversation, right? Like, it's the most normal of what we are used to as human beings, and connecting with the people that we've lost. One of the ways, if you want to kind of work on this a little bit, is, ask yourself a question and then listen for the answer, right? And the thing is that you can tell when it's not you, because you can't talk over your own inner voice. You know what I mean? So ask the question, say an answer, and see if you get something else back, right? And that way you can kind of differentiate between what's you and what's not you, which is probably the most challenging part, I think, about learning to develop your psychic abilities. Another thing that you might get if you have a psychic ability is claircognizance, right? And that's just something that you just sort of know, right? And you just intuitively know. You know it like you know what color your eyes are or the color of the sky is.
it's not something you have to think about. You can't explain why you know it. It's just something that you know, right? It's kind of ingrained in there. And so sometimes too, over the years, I have gotten just messages, like I've just known certain things. I'm like, oh, so-and-so's dating that girl, or I'm going to get fired tomorrow, or different things like this. It's something you just inherently know. And it's not that you have to explain it. It's just something that happens. So that could be another thing that you're getting too. So pay attention to that if you're getting information that you feel like you shouldn't have, but you have, and it's accurate. One of the best ways to do that is to either wait and see if it happens, or if you can get the validation from somebody else, like if, oh, so-and-so's dating that person now, call them up, be like, hey, are you guys together? Like just ask and get the validation. That will really help you kind of learn to trust that gift. And that's really the most important thing. So let's see. So what else? I have to go through the whole list. There's so many here. I want to make sure I don't forget anything. Claircognizance. Okay, clairsentience is the next one that we want to talk about. And that is kind of an inner psychic, like feeling of things. And one thing that would be very easy to understand what this is like is somebody who's an empath, right? Like they're kind of just picking up on all the feelings and vibes of everything that's going on around them. So, they can intuit information that way because somebody might walk through and they might feel like really angry, or they might feel really, sad or happy. So a really great way to use this to connect with somebody who has passed on is if you can just ask them to show you how they're feeling or how they're doing. And if you feel like a warm glow in your heart, that means they're doing okay, right? So just different things like that will help you connect. And don't worry, Spirit will give you the right information that you're looking for in the right way. It always kind of does. Just as long as you do your part and do the work, it will do that for you. The other kind of more incognito, lesser known clairs that we probably want to talk about. So we have clairalience, which is a psychic smell, which is kind of unusual. But sometimes you can get that too. I sometimes will smell really like pungent roses. And it means that my grandfather is looking out for me because, or trying to say hello. Sometimes that will happen because he used to have this beautiful rose garden. And it's just, I feel, every time I smell that, I am immediately back in that garden. So I know that's his way of just saying hello to me. So if you're noticing like somebody's perfume or somebody's cigar smoke, or, maybe somebody was a big coffee drinker and you smell coffee, that might just be their little way of saying hello. And that is something you can also ask them for too. Like, hey, if you're here, if you could just give me a sign, and they'll do that for you. So that's another way that you can get information on somebody who has passed. So clairgustance is the last one that we want to talk about today with our psychic abilities. This is also another lesser known one. And this is a psychic taste in your mouth. Not a lot of people have this, not everyone has this, so if you don't develop it, it's perfectly okay. It's more widely used for people who are medical intuitives or for people who are psychic mediums. And that is because this helps them validate the presence of a particular person, or it helps them assess or diagnose a medical issue that's happening. So if somebody's getting a taste of, blood in their mouth, maybe that person passed with some sort of blood issue or disorder or disease or bled to death or something in that area. Maybe sometimes too they're tasting apple pie, and it's because your grandma that passed wants to say hello, and makes the best apple pies in town. So that's kind of a way that you can kind of get information. It might not be one of the best ways depending on what sort of information it is that you're looking for, but it is definitely something that's out there that's available for you to train in if that's something you want to do. I think that one too, you can actually kind of like sit with your friend on the phone and ask her to eat something, right? And they can be in another room or at their house and ask them to eat something, and then see if you can taste what that is in your mouth. And then you can text them back or call them back and be like, are you eating grapes right now? And see if you're right. And that's one way to kind of help develop it, is to kind of form that connection that way, if that's something that you're interested in doing. So those are all really great ways that you can connect with spirit and with your lost loved ones. If that is something, if you're missing your family, or you just want to make sure everybody's okay, or you need advice, there's all sorts of other things that we can use that for and ask. So I really hope that was helpful. If you have any other questions, please let me know. If you would like help working on developing these connections, I would like to, I'm would like to do that with you as well. So just let me know what you need. I'm always here and available, and I hope that that was helpful today, and that you decide that you want to give this a try, because I have personally gotten so many really great messages from people who have passed, that I've lost, that have not only made me feel better and more at peace, but that have helped kind of guide me, or just made me feel just really good at a time when I needed that the most. So until next time, thank you so much for watching, and have an absolutely beautiful day.